She never expected a simple test to change everything. A powerful billionaire, used to having the world at her fingertips, decided to give a homeless single dad her credit card just to see what he would do. Would he spend it on himself, indulge in luxuries, or use it to help others? What she didn't expect was how his choices would shake her worldview and challenge everything she believed about kindness, integrity, and human nature. This single dad, struggling to provide for his child, faced an impossible decision in a world that had never given him a break. Every purchase he made carried weight, not just in dollars, but in the unspoken values of love, sacrifice, and hope. The billionaire watched silently, expecting maybe gratitude, maybe indulgence, but what she saw left her speechless, in a moment that could change both of their lives forever. The choices he made weren't about money, they were about heart. And when the final receipt came, it revealed something she never anticipated. Something so simple, yet so powerful, it made her question not just him, but herself. What did he buy? And why did it break her in the most unexpected way? Stay tuned, because this story isn't just about wealth, it's about the true measure of humanity. The homeless single dad had been through more than most people could imagine. After losing his job and struggling to make ends meet, he had no safety net, just a small, worn backpack, a few essential belongings, and the determination to care for his young daughter. Every day was a balancing act between finding food, keeping warm, and making sure she had something to smile about. He had learned to survive in a world that often turned a blind eye, but he never lost his sense of responsibility or his quiet dignity. The billionaire, on the other hand, lived in a world of luxury she had built from the ground up. Wealth, power, and influence surrounded her every move, but she often felt disconnected from the real struggles of everyday life. This little experiment, she thought, might teach her something about humanity, or at least entertain her curiosity. As he approached the small list she had left him with, she watched from a distance, curious and skeptical. Every item he picked up, every choice he made, revealed a layer of his character that money couldn't touch. But there was one decision looming, something that could either confirm her assumptions or completely shatter them. Would he follow the rules, or would he surprise her in a way she could never have imagined? The man moved carefully through the store, glancing at each item as if weighing more than just its price. To him, every decision mattered not because of the money, but because of the responsibility he felt toward his daughter. A warm coat for her, yes. Some groceries for the week, absolutely. But then he paused at a toy, a small worn-out action figure she had mentioned weeks ago. It wasn't necessary, and it certainly wasn't on the list, but the hope in her eyes when she saw it would be priceless. Meanwhile, the billionaire observed from her discreet vantage point, her curiosity mixed with an unexpected flutter of unease. She had assumed her test would be simple. A man faced with money, would he choose selfishly or wisely? But now she noticed something that unsettled her. He wasn't just choosing wisely, he was thinking far beyond what anyone might expect. Every small gesture, every quiet smile, seemed to carry a depth she hadn't anticipated. Back in his world, the man faced another challenge. A sudden phone call reminded him of a past debt, one that could jeopardize the little stability he had managed to create. He hesitated, torn between paying it immediately or focusing on the immediate needs of his child. With each passing minute, the stakes grew higher, and the billionaire realized she might not be prepared for the choices he was about to make. The tension wasn't just about money anymore, it was about trust, morality, and the invisible bonds that connect people in unexpected ways. The man's hands trembled slightly as he reached the checkout counter, his cart a careful mix of necessities and small, thoughtful surprises. The weight of the billionaire's credit card in his pocket felt heavier than any wallet he had ever carried. Not because of its value, but because of the unspoken judgment it carried. Every decision he had made so far had been measured, selfless, and deliberate. But now, the final choice loomed over him like a storm cloud. The billionaire watched intently, leaning slightly forward, her pulse quickening. She had prepared herself to see indulgence, or at least practicality, but the depth of his decisions, the quiet integrity behind each purchase, unsettled her in ways she hadn't anticipated. She had expected a test, but what she was witnessing felt like a revelation. Meanwhile, the little girl waited nearby, her eyes bright with curiosity and trust, oblivious to the tension her father felt. Her innocence made each moment heavier. Every second he spent deciding what to do next was not just about money, but about showing her a world that still had kindness, honesty, and hope. Then came the final dilemma. An unexpected option appeared, something that could either secure their immediate comfort or demonstrate a deeper principle that might leave the billionaire stunned. The man paused, his mind racing, the quiet hum of the store fading into the intensity of the moment. The choices he made next would define everything, and the billionaire, for the first time, realized she might not be ready for what was coming. Just as he reached for the last item in his cart, the store manager approached with an unusual expression, half concern, half confusion. "Sir," he said quietly, "there's been an issue with the card you're using. It seems it's restricted." The man froze, his heart sinking. The billionaire's test, which had seemed straightforward until now, suddenly became a tightrope walk with far higher stakes. Every careful decision, every thoughtful purchase, was suddenly at risk of collapsing in an instant. The billionaire's eyes widened. She had expected surprises, yes, but not this. Her test had always been about morality, about choices, but now external forces threatened to undermine everything. She felt a surge of panic she hadn't known she could experience. For the first time, she wasn't in control. Meanwhile, the man's little daughter tugged at his sleeve, smiling innocently, unaware of the tension building around them. Her trust and excitement made his next move even more critical. He could either confront the unexpected complication head-on, or risk disappointing her in a way he never imagined possible. In that moment, the stakes transformed. It wasn't just a test of honesty or kindness anymore. It was a test of resilience, courage, and judgment under pressure. The audience could feel the suspense tightening, wondering, how would he react, and what shocking choice would push this story to its breaking point. The man took a deep breath, feeling the weight of every choice pressing down on him. He looked at his daughter's eager eyes, then back at the items in his cart. Without hesitation, he made a decision that surprised even him. He put the luxury item he had been considering back on the shelf. Instead, he reached for extra groceries. A small winter coat for a neighbor he knew was struggling, and a few small toys not for himself, but for children at a local shelter. His actions were deliberate, quiet, and selfless, a reflection of a heart that had never been broken by circumstances. The billionaire watched in stunned silence, her hand tightening around her coffee cup. She had expected compliance, maybe clever manipulation, but not this. She hadn't anticipated that his choices would reveal such profound generosity and integrity. In that instant, she realized her test had failed, not because he made the wrong choice, but because it had revealed truths she had never considered, about compassion, about sacrifice, and about real wealth beyond money. Then came the twist she never saw coming. As he left the store, a small envelope fell from the back of his cart. Inside was a note in his handwriting, thanking her not for the money, but for trusting him. It wasn't just a test anymore. It was a connection. And as she read it, she realized that the richest thing she could gain wasn't credit or control, it was humanity itself, offered freely by someone she had underestimated all along. The billionaire stood there for a long moment, holding the note, her mind racing. She had gone in expecting a simple experiment, a test of morality, but what she had witnessed was far more powerful. The homeless single dad had turned her curiosity into a lesson she could never have learned from books or boardrooms. His choices weren't about money, they were about love, responsibility, and integrity. She realized that true wealth wasn't measured in digits on a screen, but in the impact one had on others' lives. Meanwhile, the man and his daughter walked home. The small gestures he had made carrying more meaning than any paycheck could. He didn't need recognition or rewards. The joy in his daughter's eyes and the satisfaction of helping others were more than enough. The challenges of their life remained, but the experience had given them a glimpse of hope, a reminder that kindness could ripple far beyond immediate circumstances. Back at her office, the billionaire made a quiet decision. She would use her influence not just to test others, but to create opportunities for people like him, people who deserved a chance. Not because of wealth, but because of character. In the end, both lives had changed. She had learned humility, and he had shown that true generosity and integrity are priceless. And sometimes, the most unexpected moments teach the deepest lessons about humanity.